Hello, I'm Peggy O'Neill, and welcome to today's Facebook Live. And we're in Answering the Call. I'm the founder of Answering the Call, and here we're answering really two calls. One is that longing to feel fulfilled and meaning and purpose and why am I here? Those sorts of questions that are calling to us until we discover some answers to those. And then second, once we are clear about who we truly are, which is what the call is asking us to discover and to live, then what's my unique expression of this knowing of who I truly am? That's what we're doing here every week. And today specifically, what we're focusing on is this. We're going to blow up the logic that tells you that you're a separate being from anyone or anything. Blowing up the logic that tells you you're separate from anyone or anything. And if you're here live, please put in the comments that you're here. Say hi. And if you have any questions or comments throughout, please post them in there, and we'll answer them as we go along. And then if you're watching this on replay, please put in hashtag replay. I love knowing you were here, and we all love knowing you were here. And the same thing, if you have comments, questions, put them in there, and I will answer them. So back to our topic today. We will get started. So blowing up the logic that tells you you're separate. So we're going to discover that our experience is different from our logic. Why you might want to trust your experience. And that your experience can provide valuable information, such as ideas and insights that you'll probably never know if you believe that you're separate. So the first one, that our experience is different from our logic. So our logic tells us we're separate. Right? If we look at our senses, we'll start with our senses, the five senses: seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. We see something and we've been conditioned to believe we see it over there. Like you're looking at the computer or your phone right now, probably. What else would you look at? That's probably it. and you think what you see is on the computer screen, and it's over there somewhere, or the phone screen, and it's over there. That's what it seems like our eyes are telling us. Hearing, the same thing. Oh, I'm hearing this out of my phone or out of the computer. Or I hear a bird up in a tree over there, or a car down the street. It's in our language. It's in our what we've been conditioned to believe. And let's see, taste. You know, that the taste in our mouth is coming from this item that we have in our mouth. That the smell is coming from some other item, and that touching touching this desk or touching whatever you're touching tells you that there's a separate desk because you can touch it, right? So we're really believing all of these senses that seem to tell us there's something separate from me, and then our thoughts confirm that. Our thoughts can also show up, of course, as we speak them or we say them to ourselves. The bird in the tree over there, and so on. Everything I just said are all thoughts as well that we say to ourselves. Oh, I'm watching Peggy on the screen. And our thoughts tell us a lot about ourselves. I am good at this. I'm not good at that. I should be this. I should be that. And so our thoughts are also telling us a lot of things. I ought to call Bob. I need to do that assignment, and so on. There's a lot of talking and thoughts that lead us to believe that there's another person or another thing, an object. Go turn on the TV. Go get my phone. So all of our thoughts keep informing us in ways that we interpret as meaning that we're separate. Our emotions as well. We experience something, somebody yells at us. Maybe we feel hurt or demeaned, humiliated in some way. And so it feels like our emotions are related to this other person. And that our emotions, and we identify with our emotions. We say, I am hurt, I am humiliated, and we identify with them. And that also keeps us separate from other people, because then we feel smaller, we feel limited, we feel defensive, We want to protect ourselves because of all of these thoughts and emotions. So those are all the various ways that our logic, we think, tells us we're separate. Now, if we look at our experience, we can find that our experience is telling us something else. If we look at our experience, and what I mean by experience is the sensations in our body, the feelings in our body, and by feelings I don't mean emotional feelings, but what we experience in the various sensations, emotions, feelings in our body. What am I trying to say? So experience. Sorry, I got a little distracted by my own thoughts right there. So, but we look to, let me look back at my notes. Sorry, I keep losing my train of thought here. That your experience is different from our logic. So, because our logic, we think our eyes are telling us something is over there, but we're looking at our experience. What's the feeling? Where are we feeling this? Where are we knowing this? That's in our experience that we're knowing this. I don't mean knowledge knowing, but in our experience, in our feelings, our sensations. So if we look, where do I see this other person? I know we've covered this before, but I really I keep coming back to it because it's so important. We've got to blow up this logic that we think is accurate, and our logic is not. Because if we look at our own experience, where do we see somebody in our experience? We realize, oh, I see them here where I am. That's where my experience of seeing is. Right where I am. My experience of seeing is where I am. My experience of hearing is where I am. Smelling, tasting, even touching. When I'm touching something, so you can touch something with the ends of your fingers right now if you want to. And what do you notice in your experience? Now, our thoughts want to tell us I'm touching a computer or a desk or whatever you're touching. But in your experience, what's the experience of touch? It's actually like a like a pressure, right? It's a pressure. It's an intensity. And when you touch something and experience that intensity, you could only experience it and touch it by connecting with it, right? So, and notice you cannot find when you're touching it any separation between the touch and the thing or the person. The same with any of the other senses. We cannot find a separation between seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, and the other thing. Notice that we cannot find any separation between any of those experiences, those senses, and the seemingly other thing. There'd have to be like a gap somewhere. Like we see, and then there's a gap, a hole between there'd have to be a hole in the seeing. And it's not. It's one continuous seeing, all experienced here. There's no gap. There's no space. I mean, yes, it seems like there's space between me and the computer, but what I mean is there's not like an empty few seconds even where we don't see the computer. There'd have to be, if we were separate, there'd have to be some sort of space where you don't see the computer between the eyes and the computer. But there's no space where you don't see the computer once you're looking at the computer. I know this is hard to grasp, so we keep it up. We don't just do it on Thursdays or whatever day you're watching this. You want to keep exploring this until you realize that your experience is what's accurate and not the thoughts about the experience. In our experience, we cannot separate ourselves from anything or anyone. And the way we've interpreted our senses, we've interpreted it to mean separation when it's just the opposite when we look at our own experience. Same with our thoughts. We identify with their thoughts that seem to tell us there's a separation. Bob's over there, Sue's over there. But again, if we look at our experience, where do I experience Sue or Bob? Can I separate my experience from them in any way? In my experience, I can say, well, Sue's in another part of the world, but in my experience, is there any separation? I'm thinking about Sue. How can there be a separation? In my experience, there's no separation. In my emotions, so our emotions, we think our emotions are arising in response to something, and they are, but then we use that to create a way to separate ourselves from the other something, like explaining, that I should be afraid of them, I shouldn't be near them, or I should be near them. But if we look at our emotions directly, then and experience them, we realize that our emotions they're arising in us and not really caused by somebody else. Our emotions, we bring up fear, that sort of thing. That's what I'm trying to get at. Things like fear, I should be separate from somebody. So we let our emotions tell us we should be separate, or we're judging ourselves, or they're judging us. All these emotions we think are telling us to keep us separate from other people and other things. Be afraid of snakes, be afraid, which we do want to, of course, take care of ourselves around snakes. But it brings this sense of separation. So we let our emotions try to inform us that we're separate. Instead, emotions are feelings that are moving through us all the time. And we can know that and then not let the emotion take us into this sense of separation. So as you can tell, we're focusing totally on our experience. And why we might want to trust our experience is because that's actually the nature of reality. That we're all one being. That's what our experience tells us. And what might be different in our lives if we knew that? Well, what happens when we believe we're separate, we feel smaller, like I said a while ago. We feel defensive. We can feel inadequate. We can feel like something should be different. All of those sorts of things that keep us separate from life, separate from ourselves, separate from other people. But if we look at our experience, we can acknowledge and realize that we're one with everything. And then what happens? We feel more expansive. People talk a lot about gratitude. We just naturally experience gratitude. We naturally experience our expansive nature and connection with other people, connection with the planet. So we feel that in our experience. And then what does that do? Then we want to take care of the planet. We want to open our hearts. I mean, that's what happens naturally. We open our hearts to other people. So we lead better. We don't have to learn how to care about people. It happens naturally when we know that we're one. We naturally take care of the planet. We naturally listen better. So when we trust our experience, then we're living in alignment with reality. rather than what we've been conditioned to believe reality is, which is so limiting, so contained, so constrictive, so finite. That's not who we are. We're these incredible, expansive beings, and we can notice that too. So another way to notice our expansiveness right now, I'm going to invite you to, and you don't need to close your eyes, you can if you want, but to allow yourself to expand beyond what we normally, again, with our senses, we think we end at the edge of our bodies because of all these interpretations that we've taken on. And we look at what seems to be the edge of our body, we think that's the edge of us. But if you allow yourself to relax all those sensations and interpretations of them, and allow yourself to expand your sense of self, expand out 10 feet in all directions, above you, below you, in front of you, behind you. Expand this sense of yourself. And now 50 feet out, expand this sense of yourself. Allow yourself to relax your eyes. If you find yourself focusing on anything in particular, just relax that focus and allow yourself to feel out in all directions your awareness to expand out in all directions. And notice in your awareness all that's there. That's in your awareness. It's arising in your awareness. All that you're hearing. All of that is arising in you. This infinite being. Now expand out as far as you can. Zoom out your awareness. Notice in your experience you're able to do that, to move out in your experience beyond the seeming limitations of the body. And you can ask yourself right now, gosh, what might be possible if I lived that way all the time? Not identifying with the edges of this body or my belief about that I see something over there or hear something over there, but expand my sense of myself out in all directions. What's available to you now? For me, it's a sense of possibility, well-being, excitement. We don't want to get focused on those emotions because it may not always happen, those emotions, but it's this expanded sense of possibility, of the infinite nature of our being, the infinite wisdom that's available. See, as long as we're focused on these finite bodies and finite beings, we can only get ideas, experience relationships in this finite, limited way. But when we expand and realize we aren't our bodies, our experience of life and who we truly are expands way out beyond this. Now we're accessing the infinite wisdom and intelligence of the universe. We can now open ourselves to other ideas and people and creativity that are there. They're all around us. But as long as we think we're limited and really focused on these limitations, we won't be able to hear them, see them, because they would be outside of our current interpretation. So as you continue to explore and discover that your thoughts and beliefs, thoughts and beliefs are the same thing, thoughts and emotions and senses are giving you incorrect information, or our logical interpretation of them are giving you incorrect information, expand out, then what's possible is a lot. And in that experience of expansion, again, it can provide all kinds of valuable information for things that you're working with in your life, new ideas, new ways to go with your business, new ways to go in relationship, how to be in relationship. All these things can start coming to us, creative ideas, innovations for your life and your business. your family. In our world, for world issues, all kinds of innovation are out here. If we open ourselves, don't listen to our rational being, except, if it says I'm about to fall off the cliff if I walk another 5 feet, okay, you might want to listen to that. But most of it is taking us away from who we truly are. So my invitation today is that you blow up the logic and trust your experience. It's your experience that's going to reveal to you who you truly are. And as you expand it, all kinds of possibility and wisdom are available and can come to you. Okay, so today we blew up that logic that tells you that you're separate from anyone or anything, that our experience is different from our logic. So our logic tells us one thing, but our experience of life tells us another. And we can trust our experience because it's our experience. It's really all we have. Yes, we think our thinking mind is real smart and telling us all this, but if we look, it's our experience of life that's really all we have. Our experience of everything. Wealth, relationships, lack of wealth, whatever. It's our experience. So we want to know this experience and help this experience align with who we truly are. And then our experience, as we expand out and know who we are, can provide us invaluable information, ideas, creativity, possibility. Okay, so are there any questions or comments today? All right. If you've watched this on replay, please post them. I do have another free workshop where we go into the 5 illusions that keep veiling over what we're talking about here. 5 illusions that veil over, keep us from knowing who we truly are, and then 5 insights that can free us to live in the way that our hearts know is possible. And that next workshop is on Thursday, March the 16th at 11 Central. Would love for you to come. Please put in comments workshop or send me a DM and I'll send you the information. Would love for you to join us, and let's keep freeing up this we believe we are, and free us up to live in the way that we really came here to live, to answer that call. All right, wonderful being with you today. Thank you. See you next week.